She was a savior. Moses, they called her. They, as in the hundreds of slaves she helped save. But she didn't just save them. She gave them a chance to live, to be free for once and for all. Her name was Harriet Tubman, and this is her story. Slavery was a common thing throughout the 17th century, but it was becoming more and more of a hot topic. Northern states were against slavery, but southern states were in favor of slavery. They felt slavery was necessary because slaves were the ones who did all the work on the plantations. Without slavery, the southern economy would collapse. Politicians in the North wanted to ban slavery in all newly admitted states to the Union. Politicians in the South fought for the admission of new states as slave states, trying to strengthen their numbers and influence within Congress. There were many anti-slave arguments and pro-slave arguments. It was during this tumultuous time that a legend was born. Harriet Tubman, originally named Armida Harriet Ross, or Minty, was born into slavery in Dorchester County, Maryland, around 1820. Minty's family was owned by Edward Brodess. At the age of 6, Minty had already felt the unbreakable bonds of slavery. Some common requirements for slaves her age were watching and taking care of babies, helping with chores, and working outside. As Minty grew older, she was assigned to field work, driving oxen, plowing, and carrying logs. One day, Minty went to pick up supplies at a market where a furious owner was trying to catch a runaway slave. He asked for Minty's help, but she refused. That slave owner threw a 2-pound weight, which struck Minty in the head. This affected her throughout her life, causing severe headaches, seizures, and narcoleptic episodes. She also had strange dreams which she thought were visions from God. Minty married a free slave named John Tubman in 1844 at the age of 24. After the marriage, Minty changed her name to Harriet to take after her mother. John Tubman was born a free slave because his parents' owners died. Harriet was still held in slavery throughout this marriage. She later said that he would not listen to her talk about freedom, and once said that he would betray her if she tried to run away. In 1849, one of Harriet's worst fears came true. The heir to the Brodess estate died, and his caretaker was planning to sell some slaves to help pay for the land. He planned to sell them further south, where slave conditions were horrible. Before she could be sold, she planned an escape and convinced her 3 brothers to escape with her. Her plan was to go to the Underground Railroad, an organization that has secret houses or safe havens that saved thousands of slaves. Their first attempt ended in failure. Her brothers made her turn back with them after hunger, thirst, and fatigue was too much to bear. She learned an important life lesson those few days. Freedom is only for those bold enough to take it. When they returned, she got the news she had been sold and would be sent south the next day. She knew she was going to have to escape to freedom alone. Harriet received tickets to the Underground Railroad after going to a white woman who helped runaways escape to freedom. She thanked the kind lady and hid in a wagon covered by vegetables. When she showed these tickets at safe houses along the way, she'd be given food and directions to the next safe house. This routine continued for a very long time, mostly walking and hiding. Finally, after a long journey, she made it to the Promised Land, or as we call it, Philadelphia. She recalls later, "When I found I had crossed that line, I looked at my hands to see if I was the same person. There was such a glory over everything. The sun came like gold through the trees and over fields, and I felt like I was in heaven." Harriet found work in a hotel kitchen and began trying to figure out a way to rescue the rest of her family from the grips of slavery. In doing so, Harriet was risking her life and her freedom to save others. She said, "But to this solemn resolution I came. I was free, and they should be free also. I would make a home for them in the North, and the Lord helping me, I would bring them all there. Oh, how I prayed then, lying alone on the cold damp floor. Oh, dear Lord, I said, I ain't got no friend but you. Come to my help, Lord, for I'm in trouble." It was during this time, 1849, that she also became friends with many abolitionist leaders, namely Frederick Douglass, Charles Henry Langston, John Marshall Langston, and William Lloyd Garrison. Between 1846 and 1860, Harriet, now an abolitionist, made 19 trips to the South as a conductor on the Underground Railroad, rescuing close to 300 slaves, including her own family. At this period of time, she received the nickname Moses. She helped fugitives escape to Auburn, New York. She planned very clever techniques to help many slaves escape. Soon, Harriet Tubman's name was raging throughout the area, and she became a highly wanted abolitionist at $40,000. During this time, in 1850, the Fugitive Slave Law was passed, causing slaves to be caught in the North and brought back to their owners. Harriet had to reroute all of her escapes to Canada. Just like Patrick Henry, Harriet's motto was, "Give me liberty or give me death." On escapes, Harriet brought a gun, which she used to threaten fugitives who wanted to turn back. She told them, "You'll be free or die." She soon became proud of this because she never left a slave behind, or, as she explains, "I was conductor of the Underground Railroad for 8 years, and I can say what most conductors can't say. I never ran my train off the track and never lost a passenger." This is one of the reasons that clearly shows Harriet was a fierce, courageous leader. In April 1858, Harriet met white abolitionist John Brown. They shared the same hopes and goals. When Brown was recruiting supporters for an attack on slave owners, or Harper's Ferry, he turned to General Tubman for help. "I bring you one of the best and bravest persons on this continent, General Tubman, as we call her." After John was killed for his abolitionist beliefs, Harriet regarded him as a martyr. When the Civil War began in 1861, Harriet worked for the Union Army as a nurse and a cook in Beaufort, South Carolina. Soon after that, she became an advanced armed scout and spy. Harriet was the first woman to be leader of an armed expedition in the war, guiding the Combahee River Raid, which liberated more than 700 escaped slaves in South Carolina. Not only is she credited for this leadership, she also could keep the soldiers calm by singing her slave songs to them. Her courageous work was recorded in a report to the Secretary of War, Edwin Stanton, from General Saxton, saying, "This is the only military command in American history wherein a woman, black or white, led the raid and under whose inspiration it was originated and conducted." During that time, at the age of 37, Harriet moved to Auburn, New York to live near family and friends. Abolitionist Senator William H. Seward sold her this small but comfy piece of land. In 1869, Harriet married a Civil War veteran named Nelson Davis, who was 22 years younger than her. 5 years later, Harriet and Nelson adopted a baby girl and named her Gertie. Harriet became a legend for others to admire. Harriet supported women's suffrage, gave speeches at events consisting of white and black women, and took part in organizing the National Federation of Afro-American Women, which is now the National Association of Colored Women. Many people wanted to publish books and articles about Harriet's life. Sarah H. Bradford wrote a biography, Scenes in the Life of Harriet Tubman, with the money going to Harriet and her family. She even received an invitation to England from Queen Victoria, who also presented her with a silver medal for a courageous life. Eventually, Harriet's damage in her brain had become more painful. She underwent surgery at Boston's Massachusetts General Hospital to relieve the pains and the buzzing noises she had to endure. Harriet was eventually sent to a rest home in Auburn, New York that was named in her honor, the Harriet Tubman Home for the Aged, now a National Historic Monument. She died on March 10, 1913, of pneumonia. Harriet was buried with military honors at Fort Hill Cemetery in Auburn. Her headstone read, "To the memory of Harriet Tubman Davis, heroine of the Underground Railroad, nurse and scout in the Civil War, born about 1820 in Maryland, died March 10, 1913 at Auburn, New York. Servant of God, well done." We see the effects of Harriet Tubman's leadership throughout the world today. The abolition of slavery was passed on April 8, 1864, with the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution. Slavery is no longer an institution in the U.S., and this was started by Harriet's courage, her capacity to go on, her care of others, and her love of freedom. She was an example of hope to everyone who followed her, knew her, or even came in contact with her.